Hey there guys, it's Heidi. So today is going to be a little bit of a different kind of video than I usually do, but I feel like I just had to make a video about this because if you don't know what this series is, Tales of Arcadia is a series on Netflix that it's all set in the same universe, and it starts with this series called Troll Hunters, which is about a boy named Jim that one day he's, going to school with his best friend Toby. This weird magical amulet in a pile of rocks calls out his name. He picks it up, finds out that he is the new troll hunter, which despite its name means that he is in charge of protecting all the trolls that live under his town. And, hijinks ensue. He defeats all these big bad trolls, whoop-de-doo. And then there's another series about aliens, and anyways. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend it. Stop watching this video, go binge watch all the shows. It's Troll Hunters, Three Below, and then Wizards. Before you watch this review, because this review I'm not going to be wasting any time explaining any little minute things that usually someone who's watched all the shows would know, especially as someone who's rewatched the shows a lot of times. So this is just gonna be me kind of ranting, because this movie was not what we hoped it would be. I know I'm not the only fan that was extremely disappointed with the ending, but let's just get into it. So let's talk about Tales of Arcadia: Rise of the Titans. This movie has been in the making for about 5 years, metaphorically speaking at least. He's been building up the world that this movie is set in for about 5 years, since 2016 was when the first season of Troll Hunters came out. That's 5 years, that's a long time, not quite as long as the Marvel universe, of course, but this movie was basically supposed to be, on the same level as Infinity War for this, worlds. All the characters from all the shows coming together and, fighting against this big baddie all together, and it was gonna be epic and awesome. Unfortunately, that's not how it turned out. I have to say, though, if you have been a fan of this show since the beginning, like I have, I actually kind of recommend not watching the movie, because it was such a letdown that I honestly almost want to pretend it didn't exist, because it is... I'll get into that in my spoiler review, but if you do want to watch it, maybe, stop it 10 minutes or so before the movie's over and just pretend that the rest of those 10 minutes don't happen, because those 10 minutes are that's when it all starts to go downhill. I mean, if you do want to watch it, you've been warned, so don't come back here yelling in the comments being like, why didn't you tell me how bad it was gonna be? Because I'm telling you now, it's bad, and I'm giving this movie a score. It's 5.5 out of 10. If you're curious about why that score is so low, go watch the movie and then come back, and then you can rant about how bad it was with me, because yikes. So anyways, the movie was pretty good up until the last 10 minutes, and then it all just went to crap. So definitely not the greatest movie. This is the most disappointed I have been in a movie, and honestly I can't remember. It's so bad. Anyways, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, or you don't want to be spoiled, stop watching right now, because I'm about to go into my spoiler review, and I'm going to be going into everything. And I mean everything. I'm going to be discussing a lot of the stuff in the plot, so don't stick around if you don't want to be spoiled. Okay, your warning, and now 3, 2, 1, we're going into the spoiler review. Okay. So basically, if you've watched all the shows, the movie starts off basically right where the end of Wizards ended. They, go into Stu's, I think it's Stu's, electronics shop, and they find Krell and everyone, frozen by some awful thing. And then there's this epic fight on a train. It cuts to like, I think 6 months later, it said. And dang, was that train fight awesome! Like, everyone just working together, using all their powers. We got Dukesy, we got Claire with her newfound wizard powers, and Toby with his warhammer, and just, it was awesome. And it's on a moving train, too, so it's like frickin' Spider-Man 2 up in here. And I want to say, I can't be the only one who senses a little bit of romance between Nari and Dukesy, because I'm sorry, but those two just, they make my little heart sing. They're so cute. Okay, so after the train, crashes and stuff, the Arcane Order, which showed up in Wizards, they come, try to take Nari away, but not before Dukesy casts a spell, which then makes them switch bodies, and so then they actually are taking Dukesy away. They don't know that, though, and they're trying to do this ritual to make these awful titans who... Nari explains this to the group when they get back to the floating segment of Camelot, that basically the Arcane Order is wanting to rise these awful things called Titans, that they were the things that created the world, and so they're basically going to destroy the world and then remake it, I guess. Don't really know what the point of that is, but yeah, so during the fight on the train, Jim seems to be having a little bit of trouble not having his amulet anymore, because it was kind of destroyed in Wizards, like irreparably destroyed, and so he's now fighting without his amulet, and so he's like struggling and having all these self-doubts about like, oh, am I still really the troll hunter, and can I still really be a leader and stuff, and it's like, didn't we already go through this? Like, he already did all that, like, in his entirety of his time in Troll Hunters. Like, he already went through the, oh, I don't know if I'm meant to be a hero. Like, he went through that through the entirety of the show. If not just the first season, he basically, like, went through all that and realized, hey, I'm the chosen one. This is my job. Even in season 2, the episode, which is one of my favorites, Unbecoming, he, like, Merlin shows him what the world would be like if he hadn't picked up the amulet in the beginning of the show, and it's awful. And then Jim, even though he doesn't have the amulet, it's been destroyed, Bular comes through, like, the Bridge of Killahead and stuff, and, like, he still picks up a sword and is gonna go out and fight Bular and Gunmar, and he's like, I'm the troll hunter, amulet or no amulet, and now he's having all these self-doubts again? How does that make sense? They literally had him go backward in his character development, which is so dumb. Like, ugh. But yeah, even without his amulet, he's, like, really smart and strategic and just overall a natural leader. Like, we saw that multiple times in Troll Hunters, so why is he again feeling all these self-doubts of like, oh, I can't do this, I don't have my magic amulet. Meh. Like, stop the pity party, Jim. You're better than that. You became a frickin' troll. Like, well, okay, half troll. But, like, he literally was half troll for a while. And, like, he never doubted himself then. Well, I mean, yes, he did. But more, he was like, oh, I can't be human anymore. He didn't doubt that he was the troll hunter as much. So I don't understand why they felt they needed to go through that character arc again, because he already went through it multiple times during the show. So that's just my critique a little bit on the writing. I thought it wasn't needed. It was kind of dumb. Anyways, moving on. Okay, so next, can we talk about Strickler and Barbara getting married? Because, oh my gosh, I was squealing so hard because I've basically been shipping them since, like, the end of season 1, kind of in season 2, when he was, like, starting to clearly show that he had feelings for Barbara, even though he did a little spell to make them, like, you know, connected, and if he got hurt, she'd get hurt and all that, which is evil, but, like, I feel like he's really redeemed himself, and he's now, like, one of my favorite characters. He's such a father figure to Jim, besides Blinky. Blinky will always be the ultimate father figure to Jim, but, like, Strickler is kind of, you know, his father and, like, the, you know, home way, I guess. But oh my gosh, I was squealing when that happened. I ship them so much and it was so cute. Okay, so next Nari fills everyone in on what the Arcane Order is doing, you know, like I said, with the Titans rising and destroying the world, all that. She explains it all to the group. And then we cut to the Arcane Order, who they're trying to do a ritual to summon the Titans, but it's not working, and that's when they kind of start to figure out what Duxie did, and they're like, oi, you're not Nari, and so then they do a spell to reverse what he did, and sending Duxie back to his body and Nari back to hers. But not before Nari says something super cryptic. She says, Troll Hunter, make 9th configuration, Chronosphere will make right. Okay, Nari, could we maybe get the cliff notes on that? You know, that might be helpful a little bit, because that's a little too cryptic to really understand what you mean there. So they're trying to decipher what she meant, and then Krell decides to make Christmas come early, and he gives Jim this new revamped Arcadian version of his amulet with, like, stone from, Arcadian 5, and it's dope, and it's awesome looking, and it even comes complete with a new incantation, like, for the good of all, daylight is mine to command. Like, doesn't have the same ring as, you know, the whole for the glory of Merlin, daylight is mine to command. It's just not the same. I have that, like, tattooed on me, so that's always gonna be my favorite personally, but to each their own, I guess. So for some strange reason, Aja decides that, like, since, oh, you know, these Titans are rising now, it's the end of the world, it's too late to save it, we gotta evacuate, and so she wants to, like, use Arcadian ships to frickin' evacuate the whole planet, and it's like, girl, do you realize how many people live on this planet? Like, I don't think she has enough ships to evacuate everyone before the Titans, like, destroy the world. Like, that idea just seems so dumb, and she keeps, like, hammering at it throughout the movie, and it's just like, why? Like, that's not going to work. Clearly no one wants to leave. Don't make them leave if they don't want to. Like, it's so dumb. I love Aja, but that just really made me really irritated with her, like, the whole movie. Oh, also, side note, doesn't really add much to the plot, but when Aja, like, first arrives, when they're all getting together to discuss what's going on and stuff, Steve decides to go and kiss Aja, cause Stasia forever! But, then Aja decides to tell him the wonderful news that, apparently on Arcadian 5, the 7th kiss between a couple makes, a baby. So apparently Steve's pregnant now. Which, again, that doesn't add much to the plot besides, like, occasional comedy and stuff, but I just had to bring it up because it kind of comes up later. But the real thing we need to talk about is frickin' Eli's glow up, because dang, boy! Like, who would have thought that scrawny little kid that Steve shoves into a locker in the very first episode would become such a hunk? Because, my goodness, I didn't even recognize him at first until, like, Aja was like, oh yeah, this is Eli, and then I'm just like, what? Oh my gosh, it was kind of crazy, not gonna lie, but, oh, what a delicious man. Okay, so they figure out the Arcane Order is trying to summon the Titans, and, you know, they aren't able to, they figure out where they are, like where they're doing the ritual and stuff, but then they're not able to get there in time to stop them. And then Jim's amulet seems to be having some technical problems. There's still some kinks Krell needs to, you know, work out there because it won't let him transform. And so they aren't able to stop the Arcane Order, and they summon the Titans, and then we get some, like, flash to places of around the world where the Titans are coming up. I want to say the Earth one, I think it looks like Brazil, maybe? That's where I believe Guillermo del Toro is from. And so the Earth one comes up in Brazil, and it's controlled by Nari, who's being controlled by the Arcane Order, and then there's the Fire one, which, where does the Fire one come up? I can't remember, but It comes up somewhere fiery. I think it's in Asia somewhere. And then the ice one comes up and it looks like kind of Antarctica or Alaska, somewhere icy because it's an ice titan. And so then the group kind of splits up and they all kind of go to try and fight these titans, you know, in their own little groups. So Blinky, Claire, and Archie, and then Archie's father, Charlemagne, they all go to Hong Kong, which apparently that's where these dragon trolls live. And there's a guy there who he has the chronosphere, which is the thing that Nari mentioned, which would make things right. And so they all go to get that, whoop-de-doo. And Jim, Strickler, and basically everyone else who's left on the sliver of Camelot floating in the sky, they go after the Ice Titan, which does not go so well, because Jim decides to do this kind of dumb, reckless thing that I don't think was very in character for him, where he tries to just, like, zip line onto the Ice Titan with a bunch of explosives, but then, like, the rope thing breaks, and so then he falls, and Strickler saves him, but his wings freeze. And then for some frickin' reason, Strickler just decides to sacrifice himself? Like, dude, you just decided that you were gonna marry this woman, and now you're like, oh, jokes, haha, I guess I'm gonna die now. Like, what the flip? Like, I was crying, but also, when I actually thought about it later, I was just like, what the heck happened? That was kind of dumb. And then on top of that, with the Earth Titan, like, Arg, Duxie, and Nomura decide to go after that, and Nomura gets killed by the Earth Titan for some strange reason, when she doesn't seem, at least as well as I know her character, I don't think she'd be reckless and just go barging in and just get disintegrated like she did. Like, that did not make any sense to me, and it seemed a little cheap just to be like, oh, look, we're not pulling any punches. Boom, let's kill this character that everyone knows. And it's like, okay, but why? What did that add to the story? Like, neither Arg nor Duxie are that close to Nomura, and their reactions to her dying are, like, a bit more emotional than I would expect them to be, considering they don't know her very well. Like, unless, I mean, I guess they've probably been working with her over, like, the 6 months between the Wizards and the movie starting, but, like, I don't know. It just seemed a little ingenuine to me that, like, they'd be so devastated at her death. But anyways, so Jim and all the others and Duxie and Arg, they all hear, oh, we lost contact with Claire and the others in Hong Kong, so they all go to go help them. They get the sphere, Claire and Blinky do, but then Archie and his dad get stuck because the bridge is coming apart, the bridge that, like, the troll market thing under there is at, and it gets them to be trapped in there forever together. So at least Archie isn't dead. I will say I'm thankful for that. But then the Fire Titan shows up, and they're all like, oh, flip, what we gonna do? We can't fight it. And then who drops out of the sky but the best general in existence, Varvatos Vex! The best character in Three Below. Like, he is my absolute favorite. And he's wielding this freaking giant robot suit of gun robot, which is, like, not a big thing, but in the universe it kind of keeps popping up on, like, TV and stuff, that it's, like, this movie series that they have, and the freaking suit just says, I am gun robot, and it's freaking awesome, and a giant, like, Godzilla versus King Kong-esque fight ensues between the Fire Titan and this suit, and it's freaking awesome. But of course, Varvato isn't able to defeat them, isn't able to defeat the Fire Titan. And that's the thing, like, a lot of these Titans, like, all these people are dying, but then the Titans just continue on, and so it's like, what the heck was the sacrifice for? Like, this whole movie, I just feel like I'm like, okay, none of these sacrifices are actual, like, genuine sacrifices, because they're pointless, because then the Titans just continue on afterwards, which just really irked me. Ugh. So anyways, they find out that basically Arcadia Oaks, which is where all the events and the other shows take place, is for some reason the center of the universe, or at least their universe, which actually makes sense, because, I mean, literally everything in the shows happen there. Like, everything with Troll Hunters happens there, everything with Three Below happens there, everything in Wizards. doesn't take place in Arcadia, but kind of. It, like, takes place in Camelot and stuff, but... So, for some reason, Dukesy decides that he's like, oh, I want to go get to Nari again. I know I can, like, you know, break through the control they have over her and stuff because love! And so Dukesy, like, and a couple others, they all decide to go after Nari on the Earth Titan. And, of course, Dukesy is able to break through the control and Nari is back. But then she is like, hey, you got a Titan on your side now. So she's still controlling the Earth Titan. And she decides to fight the Ice Titan and they both get destroyed. Unfortunately, Nari doesn't survive. Rip Nari. So for some reason, they're like, okay, cool, so we stopped the Titans from uniting, woohoo! Like, you know, we won! But then they decide to take a closer look at the grimoire, which is what they've been consulting to, like, know all this stuff throughout the movie. And turns out, one of the pages was stuck together. Really? I mean, it's kind of funny, but at the same time, But yeah, apparently it was stuck by, like, mold or whatever, and so this specific page shows that, hey, really, you only need one Titan, and whatever Titan, you know, makes it to the center of the universe is what the new world, like, that's the element that the new world will be made up of, and so since the Fire Titan is the only one remaining, that's what the world's gonna be. It's gonna be a fire planet now, I guess, which, cool for firebenders, I guess. So I think they figure out with Jim's amulet that what's going on with it is that it doesn't have a piece of Heartstone, which is what Merlin originally put into it when he originally created it for the first Troll Hunter. And so Jim is like, hey, Excalibur! There's a piece of Heartstone in Excalibur. And so they stop by to get Excalibur, and Jim hadn't been able to pull it from the stone at the end of Wizards, but for some reason they work out that, oh, ninth configuration, like Nari said. There's 9 of us. Hey, maybe if we all work together, like everyone touching the stone or whatever, like Jim will be able to pull it out, which, okay, sure, he does, great. And then they get the gem, they give it to Stu, and they're like, hey, fix this, and so he, I guess, fixes it, even though he has no knowledge of troll magic or anything, you know. But anyways, because movie! Okay, so they are finally like, okay, we're gonna do this big epic battle in Arcadia. The Heartstone is like coming up out of the ground and it has power again after Gunmar drained it and stuff. Woohoo! Side note, just before the battle starts, Steve goes into labor, I guess, because he's been pregnant like this entire movie, and I guess Acaridian pregnancies only last like a day? Maybe a couple days? So Eli's all like, woo, I got this, I'll take care of, you know, my best buddy. Everyone else is like, okay, we're gonna go fight. And so Jim is mostly the one leading the charge. He is up on the Fire Titan, and then I don't fully understand what happened, but suddenly he's just like, woo, you can't stop me, and the amulet is working, and so it comes to him, and then he says, you know, the lame incantation, for the good of all, daylight is mine to command. And I will admit, his new armor is really cool. Like, whoo! I still prefer the old armor, but that new armor is pretty cool, I will admit. So this epic battle, it's like freaking endgame, like, level battle. Like, everybody from the show is there. All, like, the, you know, characters that we've known throughout all of these series are there, and it's just freaking awesome! So Jim is able to destroy the Fire Titan with a little help from Toby. We'll get to that in a second. Toby decides to drive the taco truck, and there's this thing that they used at the beginning of the movie to negate magic, and yeah, so then Jim is able to kill the gal who's controlling the Fire Titan. Woo! The Fire Titan goes down. So remember how I said Toby helped? He was like right under the Fire Titan. And so when the Fire Titan gets destroyed and collapses, it collapses right on top of Toby. And they had like this little fake out where we thought he was dead, but then he wasn't, but then he died anyway. And so then Jim decides that like, oh, we still have the chronosphere. And Nari, said, oh, it'll make things right. So instead of going back and, just maybe going back and bringing the people who died back, instead, for some reason, his idea of make things right is to go all the way back to the beginning of the flipping show and just erase everything that's happened in the series up until now. Like, Jim doesn't go and pick up the amulet. Him and Toby make it to school on time. Like, he still decides, oh, I'm gonna go after Claire and get Romeo and Juliet and stuff. But then he tells Toby, oh, hey, Toby, take the canal on your way home. And so Toby's like, okay, cool, don't really know why. He goes, the amulet calls out his name for some flippin' reason, and apparently now he's the troll hunter. Like, apparently all that stuff about Jim being the chosen one and being special, it's just negated. That, oh, the amulet just picks the first person who walks by it, which is not supported by all the canon that has been, like, written up until this point. Like I said in the episode Unbecoming, when Jim, doesn't pick up the amulet, who does it go to? Drawl. Because he was gonna be the next troll hunter. And, if Jim didn't do it. And so, the fact that episode shows, hey, regardless of whether you have the amulet or not, you still have that innate desire to be a hero and save people, which is what makes you the troll hunter. And now I guess Toby is? Del Toro, what a slap in the face to the fans who, probably rewatched all of the shows in preparation for the movie, and now you're just like, hey, guess what? All of that doesn't matter now. Everything changes because of that. I love Toby. I really do. But he is not Jim. He is the sidekick. He's the blumbering oaf who is clumsy and loyal, and he's not Jim. We even see in some of the first episodes of Troll Hunters that one of the reasons Jim was so good with with daylight and stuff is because he already had his knife skills from cooking. He already knew how to handle a blade and stuff, and so when he first fought Bular, he didn't die. I have a feeling if Toby were the Troll Hunter, he'd probably die in that first encounter. He'd become like Unkar the Unfortunate, pulled apart limb by limb on his first day out. I'm sorry, but he would not be able to do everything that Jim did. He wouldn't be able to defeat Bular. He wouldn't even dare to go into the Darklands, which means all those babies who are stuck there are just stuck there, including Claire's brother. Toby would not be able to do any of that, which basically means the whole world is basically screwed. Bular brings Gunmar back, and Gunmar has Morgana do the Endless Night. And the whole world is ruined. Del Toro better have a plan to fix this. Whether it's, he releases an alternate ending or something, or is going to do an entirely new series, which I'm not sure that's his plan, because he said that this movie was going to be the conclusion of everything. But instead, we get left on a cliffhanger. And I know I'm not the only one upset by this, because I looked on Twitter and Facebook and stuff after I watched the movie, and there's a lot of people that are not happy with the ending and feel like Del Toro basically just mooned us and was just like, screw you guys! I made all this money off of it. I can do whatever I want. I thought he had more respect for us than that, as his fans. By Toby being the troll hunter, it erases so many things, probably. Steve and Eli probably won't become the creep slayers, which means that they won't be able to help, Toby and the gang fix a lot of stuff. And then Stasia wouldn't happen, which... You do not mess with Stasia. Stasia is forever. And Toby and Darcy probably wouldn't get together. Nothing would be the same. And again, it's such a stupid ending. The movie otherwise, it was pretty good, but to end it like that? I want to say this movie was great. I really do. But that ending just tanks everything that was good about the movie up until that point. And I mean, I know 5.5 out of 10, that sounds like a very low score, but that ending is all I can remember now about the movie pretty much. Because I just think of the movie and I just think about that crappy ending that Del Toro gave us. So, sorry this was a little heated review. I know, again, for my normal subscribers, this isn't something I usually do. I'm usually more a gaming channel. But I just had to talk about this because, dear sweet goodness, it was just, oh, like, you have no idea. I sat there for like 30 minutes after I finished the movie, just staring at the ceiling, just being like, what the actual flip did I just watch? Because 5 years of buildup of, wow, this is a connected universe now. Like, there's all these characters, all these different villains, like, and then just to erase everything like that, it just feels like such a F you to the audience. It really does. I love this show. It's one of my all-time favorite series, like Troll Hunters especially, because that was the first. I have a tattoo from that. But, like, I love Three Below as well, and Wizards was awesome. It was well worth the wait. And instead we get this crappy movie at the end that was supposed to be epic and amazing and do a great conclusion by tying everything up in a perfect bow. And instead we get the frickin', oh, none of it happens anyways. Anyways, so that's my review of Troll Hunters, Tales of Arcadia, Rise of the Titans. Please let me know your thoughts down in the comments if you thought it was good, if you liked the ending, if, like me, you thought the ending was awful, if you, like, any theories you have about whether Del Toro's gonna continue it with a series now about Toby being the Troll Hunter, or if this is just how he's gonna leave it, let me know down in the comments. For those of you watching this who you are finding my channel for the first time, this is not usually what I do. Usually I do gaming videos. I haven't posted in a while. I've been going through some personal stuff, but I do want to get back into that pretty soon here. And so if you'd like to see that or see more movie reviews, because I do actually really like doing these, please feel free to hit the subscribe button. I'd love you to join my little channel and help it grow. And if you agree with my review of the movie, leave a like on the video. And if you don't, leave a comment saying why you disagree. And yeah, that'll be it for this time, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.